Now, tonight's class is obviously going to be about newsletter marketing, and we're going to be doing more of an introductory class tonight, but towards the end of it, we are going to get into some things that are definitely not introductory to create a custom sign-up page on our own website. So for tonight's class, the course material that you have included, there is a submit button image and also a sign up form template generator that we are going to be using in addition to the normal course materials here. And this is something that you will need to be able to proceed through this entire tutorial tonight. Before I actually get into that though, I want to talk about the newsletter services, at least what a lot of people would consider to be the two main newsletter services used by internet marketers, and that would be Aweber and GetResponse. Personally, I use both of them and have been using both of them for numerous years. So I have a decent amount of opinions, I guess you could say, on one service versus the other one. And I'm going to try to share some of that stuff with you guys tonight. And I will then dive into showing you how to use each of these services so you can essentially figure out which one you like the best before you actually go through and create an account. You don't need an account with both of them. You really just need to go for one or the other. I use two for one particular reason. I actually started on Aweber and later expanded into GetResponse, but I didn't want to get rid of my Aweber list because it requires double opt-in confirmation on Aweber for anything that's on a list there, and I simply didn't want to wipe that out, even though I could have imported all that into GetResponse. Now, I want to jump over to the websites for just a moment and talk to you about pricing here. On Aweber, they charge you $19 a month for a basic plan, and this is going to cover up to 500 subscribers. As you progress from there and build more subscribers, they will add to your monthly plan accordingly based on the number of subscribers you have. So if you top 500, if you end up with 501, you would pay the $19 a month plus an additional $10. So you would be paying $29 a month if you were in this tier. Now, as a comparison, over on GetResponse, I need to log out of my account. Give me just a moment here. Okay, so on GetResponse, I find the pricing to be a little more clear. They break it down into each of the different groups and specifically tell you what the exact price is. Now, if you notice, for 1,000 subscribers, you're only paying $15 a month on GetResponse. But if you compare this to Aweber, for 1,000 subscribers, you would be in this second tier right here, and you would actually be paying $29 a month. So that's almost twice the cost of GetResponse. Now, there are some things about each particular service that I either like or dislike. I don't find either one of them to be perfect, and so I wanted to discuss some of that with you this evening. With Aweber, you get the option of getting a 1-month trial for just $1, but you have to go for the monthly plan. You can't use the quarterly or the yearly and still get your first month for $1. But you could always go back in at a later point in time and change your pricing plan after you got that first month if you wanted to do quarterly or yearly. Now, I also feel like Aweber is a little more developed. I don't know exactly what the time frame is for these two companies as in terms of when they came into business, but Aweber at least seemed like they were a little more developed. GetResponse is definitely catching up with that pretty quickly. However, I feel like Aweber has slightly better email deliverability. This could be a result of their strict requirement for double opt-in confirmation, whereas GetResponse has some ways that you can get around that requirement. So this could be resulting in better deliver and potentially even better opening rates on Aweber than on GetResponse. I have some data to kind of back that up from my own personal use with these systems, but it's not data that I can say 100% for sure that that's how it is, because all of that is subjective. My Aweber lists are actually older than my GetResponse lists are, so it is reasonable to expect that Aweber might not be as responsive anymore. So it's hard to say for sure if that really is the case or not. But regardless, I don't get bad results from GetResponse. It's not like a lot of their emails are getting rejected or not opened or anything to the point where it's really obvious that there's some kind of problem. So I don't believe anything negative is going on like that. Now, in terms of the drawbacks for Aweber, one thing that you may not realize until you've been a member with them for a while is that this pricing structure right here for the number of subscribers that you have, I had always thought that this was, active subscribers on my newsletter, and it turns out that they tipped me up into additional pricing levels when I had a total subscriber count reaching those numbers, even though some of those people had unsubscribed from my list. Now, when you're not dealing with a lot of subscribers, it's not a big deal, but when you get up into the thousands, you can easily have 1,000 or more people that have left your list. And unless you go through and delete those people, you end up paying for them every month. So I definitely consider this to be a bit of a drawback to Aweber and find myself having to clean house on there on a regular basis just so I don't end up topping into another level here and paying an extra potentially $20 a month or something for leads that are unsubscribed. That simply does not make a lot of sense. Now, on GetResponse, as a comparison, you really seem to be able to go pretty high up. And no matter what level you're at, whether it's the first one or the high up levels, they always seem to have Aweber beat with their pricing. Now, one particular thing about GetResponse that I want to mention, if you are going to sign up for an account with them, I would really recommend not to do it through my affiliate link or a direct link to the website, or even through somebody else's link that you can find out there. There is a very specific way that you should go about creating a GetResponse account, And this will allow you to get access to their special privileges that they have, where you can actually import emails from another service, for example, or to where you can have your customers automatically added onto one of your lists for you. These types of features are not available on Aweber, at least not without that extra confirmation email that gets sent out, and people have to click on the link in that email before they are technically on your list so you can mail them. Now, if you're signing up for Aweber, you can do that however you would like. You can go directly to aweber.com. I included an affiliate link of mine in the ebook if you would like to use that, but you certainly do not have to. But again, as I mentioned for GetResponse, do not go directly to their website. You do need to sign up through an affiliate, but it's not me that I'm recommending that you sign up through. I actually recommend that you sign up to GetResponse specifically through JVZoo. The reason why is because they have access to that special account. When people buy a product through a JVZoo vendor, they can automatically have that customer added to a GetResponse list. Hence, this is actually why I ended up using GetResponse. I started using JVZoo as an affiliate network and as a network for as a vendor for my products, and it seemed to be something that was tightly integrated with their system. So I ended up splitting off and having 2 newsletter accounts. Now, to actually go about creating this GetResponse account, as I said before, this is done through JVZoo. I included a link to JVZoo to register for a vendor account. You specifically need a vendor account and not just an affiliate account. I don't believe they give access to this unless you are specifically a vendor. But basically, register for your account, and once you are in your account, go up here to My Account and go down to GetResponse, and then just go to Get a JVZoo GetResponse account. Doing it this particular way is how you get access to those special privileges. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like they offer that to anybody else. It just seems to be a special deal with JVZoo. Well, you don't have to use the GetResponse system integrated with JVZoo, even if you're creating this type of account, but you can still take advantage of the extra privileges that come along with it. So once you have your account created using that method, then you will be all set to go. This particular page here, it doesn't go to the normal GetResponse sign up page. As you can see, these are exclusive GetResponse accounts, and you simply go down to the bottom here to register your information. Now, doing it this way, you will actually get a free account. I don't think they require even a $1 payment or even a credit card. You just get to sign up for a free 30-day account using this particular method. So you can try out GetResponse for a month and it won't cost you a penny. Now, if you don't put your billing information on there by the end of that month, then they will go ahead and cancel or suspend your account. But you can simply set up your billing before then if you would like to keep it and continue using it, and obviously for a cheaper price. Now, when you consider the advantages and the disadvantages to these different systems here, I'm more inclined to go with GetResponse if I had to recommend one service for you to sign up for. Because they have this option through JVZoo, to get these accounts with these special importing privileges where it'll be a single opt-in confirmation. It's kind of more than you're going to be able to get through Aweber, and combined with the lower pricing, it seems like the best way to recommend for you guys to go. But there is one particular thing I want to point out about GetResponse, and hopefully this is something that is now in the past, but it's so recent ago, like within the last week that the last time it happened, that I still had to mention it. They have been suffering from some denial of service attacks recently. However, GetResponse is not alone in that problem. Aweber got attacked as well within the last couple of months, and tons of other newsletter services and all kinds of other websites have been getting hit too. Basically, people are trying to attack these sites and blackmail them to get paid in bitcoins so they will stop the attacks, or else they just threaten to keep continuing. Well, most of these companies simply refuse to pay, and then they just shell out a ton of money to protect their networks. GetResponse has suffered from a number of these attacks over the last couple of months, whereas Aweber only suffered from one. I can't say for sure that, maybe Aweber completely fixed the problem the first time around, and perhaps that maybe GetResponse kind of did little pieces, or tried to do less than the most expensive option, basically. It seems now, though, like they have finally invested what they really needed to invest in the network to get the really expensive scrubbing protection that basically just validates all traffic that's coming into their site. Ever since that was put into place within the last week, there has not been another downtime, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that is indeed the end of it. But again, I can't necessarily guarantee that, so I at least wanted to bring that to your attention. Unfortunately, it's part of the business. Things like that just seem to happen every now and again. Your web host is down, or various websites are down for one reason or another. So I still wanted to bring it up in case that would influence your decision. So now I'm going to go into these two different newsletter services so I can show you some basics of how all of this works. I'm going to start with Aweber here. Simply go through the process of creating your account, and once you are in your account, you should land on a page fairly similar to this, although obviously you wouldn't have any subscribers yet. What you're looking for is right up at the top. There's a link here that says Create and Manage List. Click on this, and then click on the Create a List button. This will bring up a screen where we now have 3 steps to go through to complete the creation of this new list. First of all, we need a name for this list. It has to contain only lowercase letters, numbers, and also it can have hyphens in it. And it's a max of 32 characters long. But the thing is, this has to be unique on all of Aweber. So if another guy already has a list called carbon fiber, then I couldn't create a list called carbon fiber. If you type something in, it'll usually tell you if it's bad or not. I'd be surprised if carbon fiber was actually available. I'm doing this for Carbon Fanatic. I've already created one list like this, so I'm actually going to create a second one here, so I will call this Carbon Fanatic 2 and move on to my description now. For the description, this is just a brief sentence basically that is going to tell your subscribers what this particular list is about. And really the only time that anybody's going to see this is if they try to go and unsubscribe from your list. So in that regard, you want to try to put something here that will bring to the person's attention exactly what this list is. Maybe how they came about joining the list, and you could even potentially try to talk them out of unsubscribing here with this information. But at the very least, just do something like, say, carbonfanatic.com newsletter list for vinyl deals. So it lets them know exactly what this is. Sometimes people will get emails and they may not recognize the sender and think it's spam and either report it as spam or possibly go and unsubscribe from the list. And sometimes you can kind of catch people this way and make them realize, oh wait, I did join this and I don't want to unsubscribe from it. Now beyond that, you have a from name and an address. You can set this up as your personal name or for a website, obviously, where you're not trying to brand your own name. You could just use your website name. So I could put carbonfanatic.com or potentially even just Carbon Fanatic right there. And then over here, obviously use an email address that is relational to your website. Whenever you send out a newsletter email, if somebody tries to reply to that reply email will land on this address, whatever you punch in. So a lot of times you want to make this something that you would actually monitor so you can engage with your subscribers if they try to reach out and talk with you. Finally, you have a contact address. You simply need to make sure that this is already set to your correct home address. This is required for anti-spam laws in the United States. Down here at the bottom for notifications, you don't necessarily have to use this, but if you would like to receive an email notification when somebody joins your list, simply put in your name and email here and click the add button. Now once you're done here, just click on Save Settings. Yes, Lee, the address that you're entering here for the contact address, this could be your business address. If you don't have any other addresses that you can use, you may be forced to use your home address. Honestly, it's not as big of a deal, I think, as a lot of people think it could possibly be. I've included my address in the bottom of mails that get sent out to potentially thousands of people a day for years and years and years, and I can tell you I've yet to have somebody come and knock on my door because of it. Obviously, it could happen, but chances are pretty slim. Oh, you're welcome, Lee. So just click on Save Settings, and when you are done there, you can go up here and click on number 2 to proceed. That is a good question, Brenda. I don't know if you're allowed to use a post office box or not. Back on this page, they do have a link here to the Canned Spam Act. Okay, it does say right here specifically that they are permitted. PO boxes for your business are permitted. So that is good to know. Yeah, not a problem, Peter. I might be a little freaked out if somebody came and knocked on my door and was a customer, but it'd be probably more surprised than anything. I mean, it's not like I hide from the marketing community. I go out to marketing conferences and, interact with people and hand out business cards with, my personal cell phone number on it all the time. So going on to step 2 here, we have company branding. Now, at the very least, you need to put in a company name and a website URL. The email signature is something that I personally do not like to use. It will automatically include this in various places, but it doesn't put it at the bottom of every email, both the HTML version and the text version that you're sending out. So ultimately, it can end up causing some confusion for you, trying to remember where you're supposed to put it and where you're not. And you end up sending out some emails that have 2 signatures on them. So personally, I just leave this blank. And whenever I'm writing my emails, I put the signatures directly in each of them, which also allows me to, change things up a little bit. Now you can also upload a company logo here, but this is not a big deal. You don't necessarily have to do this. This is going to go on like your archive pages. It's not really something that's going to be included as part of your newsletter mails that are going out. So in a lot of regards, most of this information is really not necessary. that would be funny, Terry. You're thinking like to where when somebody signs up on a list that it would send it out to another autoresponder email so they join 2 lists at one time? No? Some people do stuff like that. They'll have people join a list for a particular product, but then they might get added to a central email list or something like that. So moving down the page a little bit here, we have social media and sharing. If you would like to, you can integrate your Aweber account with Twitter and or Facebook. So your broadcast, which are your normal newsletter mails that you set up and mail out yourself, not the ones that are automatically sent out when somebody joins your list. Those can be automatically posted to your social networking accounts. Whether you want to use these or not is entirely up to you, though. Your Twitter account would most likely be a business-only account, something that you have, set up specifically for this affiliate website that you're building. But then a lot of you have Facebook accounts where, it's a mix of personal and business, so you may not want to post to Facebook, but Twitter might be a little more safe to do. But then again, you also want to think about what it is that you're going to be including in your broadcast emails, the mails that you send over time. If it's something exclusive that you don't want people to have access to unless they are a member of your newsletter, then you would not want to be posting this information to social media accounts because you would want people to join your list in order to get that and keep in touch with it. Now, if you'd like to take a look at your archive page, the archive page is basically what people end up seeing from these social media posts, because obviously they're not getting an email. The email that you write is published to a page on Aweber, and then people are directed to that page, and that page is then customized with some of this company branding information. I haven't specifically gone through and done the Facebook. No, I think it's just going to try to connect it up with a personal account there. I don't think that it's something you can set up specifically for a fan page. So that's going to go to your personal Facebook news feed or your timeline, basically. Now you also have an unsubscribe page, what people see when they want to leave your list. Yeah, I agree. That is a bummer, Peter. I don't know why a lot of the different websites out there seem to do this. They offer a way to connect and post to your personal account, but not to a business account. But obviously, this is one of those situations where most people would want to be posting to their business account, not a personal account. So I've never quite understood why they really have those settings there, or why they don't offer choices in that matter. Now, one last thing here, global text snippets. I really don't use these. Some kinds of businesses, perhaps a brick and mortar retail business that has actual hours and stuff, they might have a variety of autoresponder mails, for example, that new subscribers will be receiving, and maybe they have the same information in a portion of each of those mails. For example, a list of their store hours, like what you see here. Well, instead of going through all those different mails and adjusting the store hours, if you wanted to make changes to it, you can use this system here to just create it once and basically insert that into all your mails, and then you can go back and edit that from one place. So it is convenient, but personally I've just never had a need to use it. So I'm going to proceed on and save my settings here and go on to the last step. This is my confirmation email. When somebody fills out the form to join my list, they will receive this confirmation email. But in order for them to actually become a subscriber on my list, they have to click this link right here in that email that gets dispatched to them. So what you want to do is try to craft the subject and the intro here to help get a higher percentage of people to click on this confirmation link. No matter what you do, you're going to have some people that just will not click on this link. Maybe they're not receiving the email, maybe it ends up in their spam box, maybe they open it and realize that, oh, I'm joining a newsletter, I don't really want to do that, and so they just ignore it. There's a variety of different situations. But regardless, if you are properly pre-selling what your list is going to offer, then you can continue on with that here and convince the person to click on that link to get access to the information that you're offering them. Now, there's a wide variety of different kinds of information or freebie type of stuff that you can offer subscribers to try to get them to join a list of yours. Some people will put together ebooks, some people will create an autoresponder series of emails that maybe it'll teach them something, maybe they'll give them videos, maybe they'll just offer them some kind of special incentive, just anything beyond just saying, join my newsletter. If you do that, you're not going to get a lot of subscribers. You've got to talk them into it somehow. Now, for Amazon affiliate sites that are not going to actually have their own products, most likely, most of you don't want to go out there and write a 20-page ebook about your niche just to have something to give away to your newsletter list. Well, I have one thing that you can do that will actually avoid that completely. And that is to direct them to essentially a deals page where you're promoting Amazon products. So if they end up going and buying from that deals page, then you will earn commissions. Not only that though, when you can get people on a list like that, they are geared for purchasing things from you. And so as you create more product advertising posts in the future on your site, go to your newsletter list and promote the new product ad post that you've created. But in the meantime, to actually get people built on your newsletter list, we're going to first start with the subject up here. You have 5 different choices that you can use. We're actually not going to be using names with our sign-up forms. So that really limits us to 3. Confirm your request for information, confirm your subscription, and response required. Personally, I'm not a fan of confirm your subscription. This kind of sometimes implies buying something in people's brains. Since you're typically going to be offering some kind of incentive that is information-based, the first one or the last one are typically the best ones to use. I will often find myself using this response required subject. However, you can create your own custom subject if you would like to, but you have to wait to get approval from Aweber for each subject that you're creating. Now beyond that, we have this intro right here. By default, the information in this intro is not very good, and it will not get a lot of people to click on that link for you. As I was telling you before, I would recommend for you to continue on with the pre-selling that you are doing to get people to enter their info into your sign-up form and try to close the deal here. So I like to say thank you for essentially whatever they signed up to get. So I'm going to say here, thank you for requesting to join the Carbon Fanatic newsletter to get access to special carbon fiber deals. So while I have talked about a newsletter here, I am also talking about something else that is exclusive that everybody that has not joined my list is not getting access to. And then I'm going to go on to try to put a call to action in here. Down here, it already says confirm by visiting the link below, but I still like to add in a little bit of extra information here to try to bring their attention to the fact that they have to click on that link in order to get access to what it is that they have signed up for. So I'll say something like, to confirm you submitted this request, please click on the link below. You could also say, you embellish on this a little bit, to confirm you submitted this request and to get instant access to my special deals page, please click on the link below. So while this is not really a major change from what was there before, you don't have to edit this confirmation message, but it's going to be advantageous to you to do so. Down at the bottom, I'll just put a basic signature, something like thank you Carbon Fanatic, carbonfanatic.com, whatever you feel like doing that's representing your website. Moving on from there, we have require opt-in on web forms. I've really never understood why this setting even exists. If you turn this off, it still requires opt-in on your web forms. So I don't really know why it's there. It's part of their policy that they require double opt-in confirmation. Maybe they have some type of special account like GetResponse offers that would actually allow you to disable this, but I have yet to be able to find out where that could possibly be through, if it even exists. This is not a big deal though. Just leave that particular setting alone and go down to this final setting here. This is our confirmation success page, the page that people are going to see once they receive this email and click on the link below. As soon as they click on that link, it takes them to Aweber and then it redirects them to this page right here. So this should be a page on your own website in most cases. Basically, whatever you have offered your subscriber as an incentive, you should deliver that on this page right here. Now this extra setting, past subscriber info for personalizing this page, not recommended for WordPress users. Trust them when they say this. They should in fact change that and say absolutely not for use by WordPress users. It doesn't necessarily mess up the page for everybody, but a certain percentage of people that join your newsletter will not be able to access this page if you click on this checkbox. So for that reason, you obviously don't want to exclude anybody because you're using WordPress here. So we don't worry about personalizing the page when it's a WordPress page. So we're just going to click on Save Settings. One other thing, if you do want to personalize a page, it's not exactly easy to do. This requires some programming where you are picking up the variables that are on the end of the URL and translating that into information that you could then spit back out on the page. For example, if you wanted to use the person's actual name on that confirmation success page, that would be how it's done, but again, it's not exactly a simple process to accomplish. So I'm going to punch in a page here. This page does not exist as of right now, but I will end up creating this in the next class that I will be running on newsletter marketing. So for now, it's just going to sit there. I won't actually be directing people through to sign up on this list as of yet. So it's not a big deal that this page doesn't exist as of right now. For your own site though, just put in a name of a page that you will create down the road and just record that name so you remember what it is. Now once you've completed those steps and click on the Save button at the bottom, your list is created. However, you don't have any autoresponder emails set up for it yet. Those are done through messages and follow-up series, and this is actually something that I will also be continuing on with in the next class. There's simply too much to try to teach you guys about newsletter marketing all in one single class here. What we are going to do, though, before we move away from Aweber and go on to GetResponse, is to create a sign-up form. just click on Sign Up Forms right here and click on Create Your First Sign Up Form. Now, if you already have some sign up forms, you'll see a button here that says Create a Sign Up Form. It'll be on the right instead. It just looks at the list that you have, and the forms are grouped for each of your list. So this obviously would be the first form I'm creating on this new list that I created. So now this is also a three-step process: design, settings, and publish. Down below is the actual work area. We have fields right here. Fields are the different pieces of information that you want somebody to be entering in to your sign-up form. And sometimes this information might also be hidden. For example, if you wanted some kind of tracking code included in there so you could figure out where your subscribers were coming from. If you had people coming from multiple different sources and you wanted to, be able to do some split testing, essentially. For this particular tutorial, though, I'm actually not going to be using fields, and in a lot of ways, I'm really not going to be using a lot of what this particular system has to offer. They have all different kinds of templates that you can use, so you can have sign-up forms that have various types of designs to go along with them. But I've made so many sign-up forms that I actually have a customized way that I go about making them, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys this evening. So for that reason, I'm not going to be bothering with any of the templates. Now, if you look up here at the top, there are these different buttons: header, footer, privacy, powered. These each relate to a different area in this sign-up form. So what I want to do now is to actually disable most of these areas. I want to turn off header, I want to turn off footer, and I want to turn off powered. Now, I usually leave privacy there so people can see what my email privacy policy is, which simply goes to a page on the Aweber website. So they cover that for me. Now, beyond that, I want to do one more thing here, and that is I don't want the person's name. It's not that I wouldn't like to have the person's name, but the more information you ask somebody for when you want them to join a newsletter list, the less people you're going to have that actually fill out that form. So you want to go bare bones whenever you can manage to do so. If you don't absolutely need the person's name, don't ask for it. Just ask for their email address, because ultimately that's what you need to have them on your newsletter. So now I am left with nothing but an email box, a submit button, and the privacy statement. So you want to adjust your own sign-up form to get it to look just like this. Once you're done with that, click on Save Your Form. And once you're done with that, click on Go to Step 2 to advance. Now on Step 2 here, we are going to be providing some basic information for this form. To start with, we need to give it a name. This is really just a name for your own identification purposes. You may want to get to the point where you have multiple sign-up forms for one particular list. And by having different names on there, you can easily go and look at the stats for your sign-up forms to figure out which one is converting better. You don't have to necessarily start your newsletters off with hi and then the person's name, Lee. Obviously, that is a way that some people do it to try to personalize it a little bit more. But it's not a requirement. I've done it both ways, and it really doesn't seem to make a major difference or not. However, though, kind of where it does seem to make a difference is getting people to fill out the form, which is kind of the more important thing here, especially if you end up having to try to pay to get leads or something like that. Percentages of people that are actually going to fill out that form can make a big difference with how much each lead ends up costing you. So I'm just going to call this form Carbon Fanatic. I could give it a more specific name if I ended up creating a number of these different forms and I wanted to track the results of each, but for now I can just leave this as simply Carbon Fanatic. Now next up we have a Facebook integration. When this first became available, I was thrilled by it. I thought, hey, this has got to be great. Being able to get people to join your newsletter list and they do it through their Facebook account instead of actually having to provide their name and their email and stuff. All that gets pre-filled for them based on their Facebook information. Well, in reality, it doesn't work too hot. The design of it is not very good, and there's absolutely no control over it. And unfortunately, this is something that stretches to the other newsletter networks as well. I believe Facebook retains control over what this registration form actually looks like. So for that reason, it doesn't convert very well. I recommend avoiding the Facebook registration form, even though I would really, really like for them to do some design changes to that and make it something that actually would convert, or maybe even something that could be customized. So maybe in the future that would be a viable option, but at least for now I would recommend avoiding it. Now everything else here, I end up leaving this as it is, basic version, but there are some other options. You have audio and smart video versions if you wanted to provide your own custom URL, for example, as a thank you page. This is not where you want to deliver whatever it is that you offered as an incentive to join your list, though. This is simply a thank you page that then tells you, hey, you need to go confirm your email address. You can preview these through this link here if you want to see what they look like, or you can just stick with the basic version. Same thing goes for an already subscribed page. If somebody is already on your list but they try to join it again, they'll get a notification of that. Now there are advanced settings here that can be used for tracking, but I'm not going to be using these for right now. And I'll actually touch on this a little bit more in the next class. You can always revisit any of these web forms and edit them if needed. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and save mine and then proceed on to step number 3. Now in this final step, all you have to do is just get your code. Click on I will install my form and then go over here to raw HTML version and click on this. You want to make sure all of this code is selected and simply copy it. Now, I would recommend for you to paste that code into a notepad file for the time being. And we will come back to this later on to use when we are actually putting this whole thing together. So now that I have my sign-up form generated, I'm not going to use this immediately. I'm going to come back to this in just a little while after I go through get response first. And then we will go through and actually create one of these sign-up pages on our website. So now I'm going to move on to get response. Now on get response, you essentially have most of the same features here, except things just kind of look different and are in different places. So a lot of times it's just a matter of finding out what is where, especially if you've used Aweber first, for example. To start out with, to create a new campaign, just go up here to this drop-down box. This has a list of all of your different campaigns in it with a little scroll bar to get even more. And you have some links down at the bottom, one of them being Create Campaign. So simply click on this to get started. Now initially, all we have to do for the campaign to create it is to provide a name. And this works pretty much just like it was on Aweber. We are putting in lowercase letters, numbers, and instead of hyphens, we are allowed to use underscores here, but no hyphens. So I would type in something like Carbon Fanatic, or possibly even Carbon Fanatic 2, since I have already used Carbon Fanatic. Now, there is one more thing that is extremely important to remember to do on JVZoo or on a get response, which is connected with your JVZoo account, and that is the ability to not have double opt-in confirmation on a newsletter. Not only do you need to create your account through this exclusive sign-up page on JVZoo, but also when you are creating a new campaign, you need to give it the prefix JVZ underscore. So I have the normal name of my newsletter, whatever I was going to call it, and then I add this extra prefix onto the beginning of the name. This allows me to tap into those extra permissions where I can get single opt-in confirmation or potentially even import a list of emails elsewhere without having to get them to click on that confirmation link again. It may not seem like a big deal, but if you have a list on one newsletter site, let's say I started on using a self-hosted option where I just collected my customers' emails over time. And maybe then I figured I got a large enough list to where I thought it was going to be able to justify using Aweber. So I sign up for an Aweber account and I want to import all of my emails in there. Well, it is something that you can do, but when you import those emails, they get sent a confirmation email, no matter what. And they have to click on the confirmation link, or else they're not on your newsletter list anymore, at least not on Aweber. Well, on GetResponse, you can simply import emails without having to generate that additional confirmation email. They are strict about it. You're not allowed to go out and just harvest emails and import them into a GetResponse newsletter. They do have a certain quality control process that they go through for reviewing the emails that you are importing. But if they are valid emails that are customer emails or coming from another newsletter service of yours, you shouldn't have a problem adding in new emails on a GetResponse list. So all you have to do is just click on the Create New Campaign button. But if you are making multiple campaigns over time and you find yourself having to provide a lot of the same settings for each campaign, you can actually copy the settings from an existing campaign and just select the appropriate campaign that you want to copy from here before you click on the button down below. I want to do this from scratch though, so I'm going to create this new without copying anything. So now I land on this page where I have a number of different options. I could start adding people or creating a newsletter, creating autoresponder mails. But the first thing I really want to worry about are my campaign settings. This is basically the same type of thing that we went through on Aweber when we were creating the list, except this is done separately. They try to go ahead and set up a lot of this information for you in the beginning, so you don't necessarily have to visit this section of settings, but I still recommend doing it because there are some things here that I find myself changing basically every time I create a new list. First of all, you have notifications, just like on Aweber, where somebody joins your list and you want to get a email notification of that happening. You can either leave these on or simply disable them here. Your postal address is also required here to follow the canned spam law. Next, I want to move on to profile. On this page, very similar again to Aweber, you're providing some information about what your list is about. So this could be a logo to your site, a link to your website, a description, and a title to go along with it. This information, it's not absolutely required though. One particular thing, the category, I don't exactly know what this is used for, but I suspect that it's used for their pay-per-lead program called Get Subscribers, where you can pay a certain amount of money per lead and actually get people to sign up on your newsletter. I would imagine that they target those lead advertisements based on the category that you're selecting here. So they have a number of different possibilities that can be selected. So just try to find something that is most relational to what it is you're trying to do. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to bother with setting up the details for this campaign at this moment. This still works just like it was working over on Aweber when I was setting up my branding information there. So I'm going to move on to permissions now. This is really the more important page of the settings that you want to pay attention to. Up at the top, we have Enable Confirmed Opt-in Settings. As you can see, email and web are selected by default and import is not. This determines whether there is double opt-in confirmation for people joining my list. But you can change that based on how they're joining your list. Email subscriptions, web subscription would be the web form that we are going to be creating. And then importing is where you just simply specify a list of emails that you want to import into that list. So importing is automatically disabled, but you could enable that if you really wanted to. There's honestly no point. It just ends up hurting you more than it does benefiting you. But for these other options, if you were having issues with people confirming their email address when joining your newsletter, you could try to disable web subscriptions, for example, and see if that single opt-in would work better. I think as long as you pre-sell the fact that somebody needs to give you a valid email address to be able to access whatever incentive you're offering. Even with a single opt-in confirmation, you will still end up getting mostly valid emails that way. Now, down below, we have the confirmation message. Just like on Aweber, we can specify a subject, but you have access to many more options here on GetResponse. I often like to use the confirm request option, especially if I am, offering some kind of incentive that the person is requesting to get access to. Seems to work out pretty good in a lot of situations. We can also customize the actual email itself though, and that is done by clicking on this button. Now, as you can see here, this is trying to use a name, and it's also talking about, confirming your subscription to mailing list maintained by GetResponse email marketing service. Ultimately, this default template is probably not going to give you very good results. They have many more to choose from though. So it's kind of nice. You can try to find something that is a little more relevant to what you're trying to accomplish with getting people signed up on that list. I like to use information request for this particular purpose. It kind of tones down the vocabulary leading up to somebody clicking on that link, and makes them a little more likely to actually proceed and click on that link. So what I'm really interested in here is customizing this text box right up at the top, just like I was doing on Aweber, where I'm trying to include some extra information here to convince the person to click on this link down below. So I'll say, thank you for requesting to find out about exclusive carbon fiber deals. Before you can visit the deals page, you'll need to confirm that you submitted this request. And then it continues on down here. Please confirm by clicking the following link. Now down below, if it already has your name, you might want to change that to your website name potentially. Aweber does allow URLs to be used in the signature of these confirmation emails. So if you wanted to put carbonfanatic.com, so it's a clickable link down below here, you can do that on Aweber, but GetResponse actually will not allow you to do that. If you try to save, it will prevent you from doing so. Now the last thing I want to do here is the confirmation page. This is, again, that delivery page where whatever we've promised the person for joining our newsletter, we want to direct them to that page right here so they can get whatever it is we told them they were going to get for joining. So I will do the same thing here and provide a link to that page on my website that I have not yet created and will be creating in the next class. So at this point, the list is created. All of our settings are as they should be. And the last thing we need to do is to set up our web form. And again, we will be coming back to the actual email parts of all of this stuff in the next class when we'll finally get all this wrapped together into a complete strategy that you can use. So for now, go up to Web Forms and go to Create New. And this will take you through a process very similar to that found on Aweber to create your sign-up form. You have a lot of templates at the top that you could choose from, but again, I'm not using one of these templates. I am actually custom designing this whole thing out of these newsletter services. So what I'm interested in doing instead is cleaning this up a little bit. I want to do the same thing where I remove the different parts of this form, and this is done all down here at the bottom. Header, footer, name, and powered by. I leave privacy there though. So now I just have email and the sign up button and privacy. Now the coding that is actually used to control the design of some of this stuff is a little different on GetResponse than it is on Aweber. It's not as easy to override the design of a GetResponse sign-up form as it is a Aweber one. So I have a couple more adjustments that need to be made to this particular sign-up form on GetResponse. I've got 3 of them. The first one is body. In this drop-down box, you want to click on body and then click on this little color icon next to background. Now I want to click on this transparent checkbox here and click on apply. So this got rid of the background color on my sign-up form. Now I want to go back to this drop-down box and go to the second one. This one is going to be inputs. Select inputs here, and in this second text box over, click on 18 pixels. Now once again, go back to this drop-down box and click on labels now. And finally change this to 14 pixels. So once all this is done, you should have a form that looks just like the one you see here. So I'm going to save this, and then it will take me on to the next step so I can complete my settings. Now these settings are again very similar to what you'll find on Aweber. You have a form that you simply need to name for your own reference. So I could call this Carbon Fanatic. This controls confirmed opt-in, but you can't actually deactivate it here. You have to go to the campaign settings, which is something I was just showing you guys a few minutes ago. They also have subscription via Facebook, but again, the same problem exists here as it does on Aweber, and you can actually see them talking about this kind of stuff on this GetResponse blog link. Now beyond that, we have the thank you page. I like to just use this option here, make your thank you page dynamic. If you wanted to add your picture and a voice to customize it a little bit, or even create a page on your own website, those are options that are available to you here, but not something that you have to do. You can just use their basic hosted version. Now we also have advanced options here as well, just like on Aweber, where we can set up some extra tracking, for example. But this is not something we are going to worry about for now. So we're going to proceed on to the final step here, and this is to publish our newsletter. Same thing here. We are generating HTML code, and we want to make sure that we select all of this HTML code, and again we are going to copy this into a blank notepad file. So now I have a notepad file with Aweber code and another one with getResponse code. Now, you obviously don't need both of them. This tutorial was designed to teach you about both of the services so you can kind of see how each of them work a little bit and figure out which one might be more preferential for you. So you would either be doing Aweber or getResponse. So you would just have one box worth of code. Once you have that code generated, we can then proceed on to the next step. Before I leave here though, I want to point out one last thing. Publish on Facebook fan page. I'm actually going to go into this in the next class, but this allows you to integrate a sign-up form into a fan page, and this is what we actually want. So that's not our personal Facebook page. That's the actual business side of it that we're interested in. So we can solicit subscribers off of that fan page directly with a sign-up form. So I'll be teaching you guys how that all works again in the next newsletter marketing class. So for now, we're going to proceed on and learn how to create a page on our own website that will host this sign-up form that we've created, no matter which of these two services we have used. For this portion of the class, you're going to need to make sure you go to the course material, download this submit button image, and save it to your own computer. We're going to need this in just a few minutes. And then you're also going to need to visit this sign-up form template generator page. This is a page in the member area of my own site that I created exclusively for you guys to use. What you are doing on this page is providing the information that you want to show up in your newsletter sign-up form that you're going to be creating on your own website. But this is going to do all the dirty work for you, so you just have to worry about the basic information that's relevant to each of the different sign-up forms you would create. So up at the top, we have a header title. The header title is going to be large text that shows up at the top of the page, and it will be red text also. Since it is big, we want to keep it pretty short. Use a short sentence here, or maybe even just a couple of words that describe what it is that you're trying to attract people with. So the example that I'm going to teach you guys in this class is the deals that we will offer from Amazon and get them to sign up on our newsletter by offering these deals. So I'm going to say want exclusive carbon fiber vinyl deals, ? Continuing on from there to the header description. This is going to be smaller text that shows up directly below the header title. It's going to be in black text and not red text. And so as a result, since it is smaller, you can use a number of sentences here, but you still want to try to keep it short overall. You don't want paragraphs and paragraphs because this is going to increase the amount of distance between the top of your page and where you want people to actually fill out your form. So again, try to keep it to a couple of sentences at the most. Now what we are doing here is letting the people know that are viewing this sign-up form what it is that they're going to get access to by joining this newsletter list. So whatever incentive it is that you're offering, that's what you're trying to sell here in your title and in your description. So I'm going to say something like high quality carbon fiber wrap can be downright expensive, but you don't have to settle for paying full retail price. I already know that that is an issue with this carbon fiber industry. This stuff is expensive, especially if you want to get the better quality wrap. So I'm going to try to strike on that nerve here initially. And then I'm going to continue on to say I can show you where to find some amazing deals on vinyl. Just tell me where to email your access link. So this way, I'm not only giving them the relevant information that they would need to know what they're going to get by joining my list, but on top of that, this final sentence here is important. Just tell me where to email your access link. I use this on pretty much every sign-up form that I do, or some form of this particular sentence, because you will have people that might think all they have to do is enter in an email and then they'll immediately get to the page that is going to give them what you offered. They may not be aware of a confirmation step. And even if there is not a confirmation step, like if you're using GetResponse and you're just doing single opt-in, you still want the person to think that there might be another step, or else they'll just enter in a junk email, and it's not going to do you any good to have a list of subscribers that are all fake email addresses. So you want to try to get them to put in a real email by telling them, hey, I'm going to email you access to what I'm offering you, so I need your email address to send that to you. Now continuing down the page here, enter email text. Above the text box that asks for the person's email address, we have a little bit of text there. By default, on the forms that we were creating, it just said the word email. I will often use the phrase enter your email here, but if you would like to change that around, you're welcome to do so. This will automatically show up on this page every time you come here though. So next up, we have image URLs. It needs a submit button image and a background image. So what I'm going to do to obtain these images, number one, the submit button image is the one that I'm providing for you right here. Download this image and then upload it to your site. Do not use the direct link off of here like you see me doing. This is actually already uploaded onto the correct site that I'm using this for, onto my Carbon Fanatic site. So what you want to do is go to your WordPress, go to Media, go to Add New, and then select your Submit button and upload it here. And then you're just going to click on this edit link next to it once it shows up here and completes uploading. You click on that edit link and it will take you to a page where you can copy that file URL, which will be off of your own website. Then you take that image URL for the submit button and you put it into this text box. Now I again want to do the same thing for a background image URL, except, oh wait, I didn't provide one for you. That's because this is something you need to go out and find yourself, because you want something that is relational to your niche. What I like to do is type in something that I know is going to bring up images relating to my niche. So something like carbon fiber vinyl. If I wanted an actual car, I could maybe say carbon fiber car. But then whatever you end up searching for, try putting the word wallpaper on the end of it. Then search just the images, and you'll get a list of images that should be, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them will be ideal for you to use as a background image for this particular situation. Now, the most important thing, besides the obvious look of your image that you're choosing here, is actually the dimensions. When I hover over an image here, if you look in the bottom left corner, you can see what the dimensions are of each of the images that are listed here. Some of them are smaller, 1150 by 864, 800 by 600, and some of them are larger, like this one, 1920 by 1200. This size right here, 1920 by 1080, is the smallest size that you want to find. If you find something a little bit bigger than that, it is okay. You do still need to be careful about that, Peter, making sure that the images you're picking, that they are okay to use. Some of them, are going to be copyrighted images, and others will not be. So, do take a little bit of time to look into that. Make sure you don't have watermarks on here. You can also visit the actual pages of that host these images and find out more information about whether or not that image might be copyright or not. So once you find something that you like that also fits within those image boundaries, the size boundaries here. This one, for example, is 1920 by 1200. While it is larger than the 1920 by 1080 size that I recommend, it is not much larger. It's the same width, but it's actually just a little bit taller. So this actually still works out okay. It's close enough and it's larger. You just don't want to go smaller than 1920 by 1080, or it can end up messing up the way this is going to end up looking. So now click on the image. When you see this big preview here, once you know that this is the image that you want to be using, just right-click on it and save the image to your computer. Once you have that image on your computer, you can then go back into WordPress and upload it to your own website. And then click on the edit link next to it so you can get the URL for that full image here. And then we're going to take that URL and put it in the background image URL box. At this point, this entire form is now filled out with the exception of this last box, sign up form HTML code. This is where I put my code that I generated from the newsletter site. You can copy and paste either Aweber or GetResponse code into this box right here, and it will work correctly. It will automatically figure out which site you're using and correctly modify that to give you a custom template. So once we're done, I click on the Generate button, and up top here I have HTML that is now generated for me, and there are actually two boxes worth. I have the page HTML code and I have the custom field HTML code. So I'm going to come back to this page in just a few minutes. What I'm actually going to do now, though, is to go and create a new page on my site. So I will go to Pages. Don't create a post, create a page for this particular purpose. And then go to Add New. Now for this page, what you want to do is go about creating a normal page just as you would, give it a title. I'm going to use Carbon Fiber Deals because that relates to what it is I'm trying to offer people here. And then down below in the main text area, first of all, make sure you're in the text tab. Do not do this in the visual tab or it's not going to work correctly. When you're in the text tab, go back over to this page and select all of the code from this first box, the one labeled as page HTML code. Then go back here and paste this in. This is your entire page. You don't have to do anything else in this text box here. Now what we want to do is continue down this page just a little bit. We need to go to the Weaver 2 options first. This box right here, which obviously you would only have if you're using the Weaver 2 theme. Now for some reason you're not using the Weaver 2 theme, you may still have some way that you can disable different areas of the site, but there are some themes that will not have these options available. If that's the case, you could always simply create a new WordPress installation, maybe in a subdirectory of the site, put Weaver 2 on it, and just create one page on it that you would use for this purpose so you can correctly design it. But hopefully most of you are already using Weaver 2. So what I want to do here is select a number of these checkboxes: hide page title, hide entire header, hide info bar, hide menus, and hide entire footer. A little further down here, I also want to select allow raw HTML and scripts. And finally, in the sidebar layout drop-down box here, I want to select no sidebars. Now at this point, I want to continue down the page even more until I reach the custom fields. I want to create a new custom field on this page. Most likely it will not already be in this drop-down box. It is in mine because I've already created one on this site. However, if you do not see it there, just click on Enter New, and you want to type in page head code with hyphens in between each of these words. So that's what you would be looking for in that drop-down box, but chances are it's not going to be there, so you have to add it in manually like this. Now we have a value box. Go back to the page where we generated all of our code and go down to the second box, custom field HTML code, page head code. Select all of this code here, copy it, and go back to the page and paste it into this value box. Once this is done, just click on Add Custom Field right here, and this saves that field. The last thing you need to do is to actually publish your page. But personally, I would not publish this to Facebook, at least not yet, because we haven't completed everything past what is going to happen once somebody signs up to this form. So ultimately, we don't really want to be pushing people to this page quite yet. But we're going to go ahead and publish it just so we can take a look at it for now. Now you obviously have other parts of your page like your SEO settings, your social networks listing. If you do want to eventually share this on your Facebook page, definitely fill out your social networks information and stuff like that. But again, it's not something that you absolutely have to do because we're going to be directing people to this page from a variety of different sources. So just click on the Publish button now, and this will create the entire page, and we can go to our live site and see what it looks like in person. So as you can see now, I have the background. This little info bar up at the top, this only shows up because I am the administrator and I'm logged into the site. If I log out of this website here. Let me get my address before I do that. If I log out of this site and return to this page, I'll see it how somebody else would see it if they visit this page. So there's no info bar up at the top here. All I have is the big background image, and then this is my actual WordPress page that I was creating. It's shrunk down to this tiny size so people can simply focus on the relevant information. And then everything that we punched in over here on this newsletter sign-up form, the title, the description, the email text, all of that information can be found here. Here's the title, there's the description, there's the email text. And then I have my background image and my submit button image. So this allows you to create a sign-up form just like you see here without having to worry about all the complicated coding that goes along with it. And this is something that can be used really in a wide variety of situations. You can push people to these pages through a link on your page, through Facebook ads, through your fan page. You know, it really doesn't matter how you direct people to these. But we're going to be talking about this more come next class, where I'm going to show you some, usage information, how to actually apply this in the real world. But at least for now, you should have an understanding of the newsletter services and at least be able to get to this point. And, if you punch in your email address in this box right here, you will be subscribed to that newsletter. It's just that you're not going to actually be able to proceed through everything that we want our subscribers to go through until, we actually set all that up, which is what we'll be doing next class. Yes, Peter, this style does have a pretty decent opt-in rate. For it being a fairly simple opt-in page, I think for simplicity's sake, this gets one of the best conversion rates that I've been able to achieve from a simple opt-in form. You can sometimes get a little more complicated with opt-in forms using custom graphics and stuff and achieve better opt-in rates than what you can achieve with this page. But ultimately, that's a lot more complicated and much more time involving to put something like that together than it is to put something like this together. I actually use this exact style myself on a regular basis. I have one running right now on GetResponse. It's not for Amazon at the moment, but it's actually for my current Amazon product launch. This is a pre-launch form that I had up and also have it as a exit link now. And just today I've had 203 subscribers join, and between yesterday and today of 397. So it works pretty well overall. My conversion rates on something like this are lower than what you can achieve from like a direct promotion to it, because this is really something that people are ending up on when they close my page. My new launch sales page, if somebody goes there and they try to close the page, they'll be taken to this page right here. Want to watch the first 2 videos from this course for free, enter your email here to sign up. This is the exact form that has picked up 397 subscribers for me since yesterday.